No, not at all. Yeah, I used to do really long ones, and I do long ones when I do them at night and I'm drinking.
Okay.
But I think I found that just over an hour is like the perfect.
I do too.
But you're right. Sometimes I've not gotten them jump started until like 45 minutes in.
Yes.
I had Fortune in the other day. I know you know.
Oh
Fortune.
yes, I just saw your video. It's great.
One of my favorite.
She is mine too.
She's just such a positive.
A delight.
That I'm telling you, like I've never been more jealous of a bit than I just started Googling gay stuff. Like I guess I'll learn how to play guitar.
Well, you know, Fortune and I were office mates at Chelsea. So
Really?
I've known her a really long time, and you know, we would be each other's sounding boards for a lot of stuff, personal stuff too in life. So we're very good friends today too as well.
Yeah.
And she's,
did I just see a
wonderful.
picture of you and her and maybe Jen Kirkman? Probably.
I mean, we're all
someone's wedding or something.
Oh, at Chris Frangiola's wedding.
Yeah.
So from Chelsea lately, Chris Frangiola, Jen Kirkman, Sarah Colonna just texted me, and Fortune and I are all really close. And I'm still close to Joe Coy and Josh Wolf. And
I just saw Josh last night.
Yes.
I made a joke about Josh. I made a joke to him that I'll say out loud now. But someone was saying, I was talking to a couple people and they were like, I was at Josh's house and his son was smoking weed. And I was like, well, yeah, but I go, Josh is like a grandfather. And he's like, what? I go, like his kids are old, like they're adults.
no, but not that one though.
Yeah.
The older stepson is the one
right.
that has all the kids. Yeah,
and
the army guy.
He's like, Josh's a grandfather? I go, yeah, you forget because he's so good looking. He's still white trash. And they're like, what? I was like, oh yeah. Like, yeah. But
yeah.
I love Josh. I love Josh.
Yeah.
What was he just talking about last night? Yeah, last night was a fun night. We were hanging out at the store. Where did you start going up when you first started doing stand-up?
So I'm from Woodland Hills.
I know. Oh, I know everything about you. My wife came in today. And sometimes I'm really bad with research, and I like to go in with what I know of the person.
Uh-huh.
And my wife was like, you needed more Heather McDonald in you. And I said, really? She goes, yeah, she's got it together. And I was like, really? She goes, yeah. Like, I looked at her Wikipedia this morning. Like, she could have done anything. Anything she did, she would have been successful at. And I was like, really?
God, I don't feel that way, but thank you for Wikipedia making it sound that way.
No, but you do have like you are very. I'm a mess. I'm a legit mess. Like, I think anyone will attest to that. Like, when you have an assistant, I would love an assistant. I don't even know how to get one. It's like, that's how much of a mess I am. I don't even know how to get one to get to that place. She's basically my second one I had, but I really have only had one for like a year and a half. And even that was and to this day, very challenging. Like, I almost got the coffee before. I was like, oh, there's a Starbucks on, but I see that it says I'm going to be there at 9:57, and I'm like, I don't know what your day is like. And then I'm like, Heather, do you ask Cassia to get the coffee? I'm like, that's what people do, right? Like all the time. Like, my husband will be like, you have an assistant. And I'm like, yeah, but I always just want her experience as my assistant to be really creative because she's so smart and great, you know? Yeah. So I don't have her do dry cleaning or anything. But once in a while, I'm like, I guess I could ask her to go to Starbucks. I mean, I do that for other people. Most of the time, I'm picking up the Starbucks and meeting her at the office because I'm like, what do you want? But yeah, but no, it's very helpful to have someone like that, which I've never had really until a year ago. We're trying to, I'm in the weeds. I'm in the weeds. Like, consistently, I wake up every morning going, motherfucker. Like, and I do it every fucking morning. My wife's like, you need to just take the load off yourself. Because I'm also a micromanager.
Oh, okay.
Like, hardcore. Like, me letting go of this podcast and letting Halston run the board, do the mics, was only because I was losing my mind in podcasts, checking to see if we were recording. Like, I was never comfortable.
I have post-traumatic stress disorder about losing stuff that's been recorded. I had Lonnie Love, who's a dear friend of mine, finally come in when she finally had a break from the reel. We had such a great interview, and I was at a real studio with my real producer, and it got lost.
Really?
Gone. And I burst into tears. I was like, you're calling Lonnie right now.
Yeah.
And she's like, Heather, it's okay. And I'm like, it's not. Like, I was just And so every time, like, especially when something's getting juicy and good, I'm like, is it
That's the name of your
recording? And my
podcast.
heart's like beating, or the live podcast, I'm terrified that they won't be taped,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I notice, like, I think it's because we come from a generation where we did lose shit. We lost papers on a computer. Like, it's interesting because my kids are just so chill about it. They'll be like, Mom, it's right here. It's right here. And I'm like, like when I wrote my book, and I saw you wrote a book too, like every chapter that I finished, I would send to the editor and then I'd email it to 3 other people just so it wouldn't get lost. Like I was just paranoid. Paranoid beyond belief about losing any of my work. And so, and I have to stop that because it's making me seem really like weird and old.
No, I have a thing, and I think it's psychosomatic. I have a thing where I can't remember. Like if Leanne tells me, like, "Hey, run to the Gelson's and go get some chicken, some jalapenos, some guacamole, and I need milk and eggs." I go, "Sure," and I do it. Do you remember that PBS thing? A quart of milk, a loaf of bread, and a stick of butter. A quart of milk, a loaf of bread, a stick of butter. What did Mother say she needed? Oh, I need a quart of milk. Like I do that aggressively.
Why don't you just have her text it to you where you can reference it back?
I do that a little bit now, but I'm testing my memory. Like I'm afraid I'm getting old. Like especially with new material. Do you have this with new material?
Okay.
Where you go up on stage and you're almost not in the moment, not present, because you're trying to remember what goes next and what little eccentric part fit into the bit, and you don't want to lose the cadence of you sent her out the door as opposed to school with a bag of fucking like I've noticed. And then when I get right now I'm doing 90-minute shows, but but I get to the end where they want to hear the machine of flying dildos, and I just cruise through it, and I'm like, I need this energy in that early material. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that with new material, I mean, I try to like fit it in, but like I just did 4 shows in San Diego and
La Jolla?
in the American Comedy Company.
It's a great room.
And I was like, okay, I'm retiring these 2 stories. Like I got to fill this hour with these 2 stories out.
Yeah.
And I tried, and I'm trying to fill it in. And I did bring a little piece of paper out with like a lot, because I'm like,
oh, I bring the piece of paper out all the time.
And also then doing the second show, which I've been lucky enough to have probably half my gigs now involve just one bigger show, which I absolutely love because I want to drink after. I want to take photos with the people that are VIP. I just want to be done with it.
Yeah.
And also with the second show,
be you.
But the second show too, there's a weird thing happens where you're like, fuck, did I say that already? Like that part I feel like is a little harder for me to keep track of.
Did you ever do 3 shows?
Yes, and it was the worst experience ever, and it was at 2 places. Denver downtown. I did 3 once.
Yeah.
And I did once in Atlanta 3.
Oh, really?
Like years
Addison
ago.
always made you do it. Miami always made you do it. Columbus always made you do it. And back when I was a baller, like a kid, and I was hungry, I loved it. And then I felt the switch in my career where I was like, fuck this.
Yes.
Oh, and then I'd be drunk by the 3rd show.
I never drink until I'm done.
That wasn't my case ever. Now, I will have a drink. I bring a drink on stage with me, but I don't drink it. I don't really drink it at all. I have, but I don't drink it at all. I don't drink in between shows, and then I will drink on the second show. Like at the end when I start to tell the machine story, I put back.
I love drinking.
What's that?
I love drinking. I was just talking to my friend, and I go, I don't think I've ever given up alcohol except when I was pregnant for more than like 3 days.
Did you do in vitro?
No, natural pregnancies.
3 kids?
2 and my stepdaughter.
Okay.
So that's a real juicy story with my husband.
Wait, what happened?
So I met my husband, and he's a huge fan. My husband wants to come. Okay, I might text him and say I didn't want him for the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's in love with you. He's knows your specials, and he was just too excited. And so I said, okay, just come later on or during mine. I'm okay. But like, let me have my moment with Bert too. Like, I'm excited. And so I met my husband through friends, and we right away I was like
old school through human beings.
Actually, I was on a date with someone else. I was dating this guy, and our mutual friend who was a caterer on the Keenan Ivory Wayne show that I dated when I was 19. We started talking on the phone. It's like platonic friends, and he's like, "You should meet my friend Peter. He's tall because I'm tall, so that's always been a huge thing."
How tall are you? 5'10", 6"?
I think at one time I was like 5'9.5". I don't know if I'm that tall anymore. I don't know. As my sons get taller, it's like I'm shrinking every day. It's
How old are your sons?
They're one just turned 16, and he's at Calabasas High, which is off until Thanksgiving. And then I had to tell the non-Calabasas High, the one that goes to St. Mel's and Woodland Hills, I had to break the news to him that his brother was going to be off until Thanksgiving.
Oh shit!
And if you
hang on, someone let the dogs out? I just told that fucking lady. I just told her. I go, I'm leaving the dogs inside because someone's coming through the gate. That mother. Will you just run and
you could just pause it or whatever.
No, don't pause it. You don't need to pause it. I apologize. But I have a 140-pound bull mastiff that will scare the living shit out of your assistant.
Oh, okay.
If she's out.
Okay.
Wait, how did Mona get out?
And then you have a tiny dog. Oh, this is
yeah.
Oh, but that's like a gentle giant. You can tell. That's so funny.
Who the fuck let the dogs out? Oh my God.
What?
Do you think that's how they wrote the song?
Yes.
And they were like,
absolutely.
Oh, God damn it. They had an assistant bringing coffee.
They were having a party. They were having a small barbecue, and it's who let the dog. Yeah.
Who let the fucking dogs out? So you were saying your son's off till Thanksgiving. He's 16.
So I had, look, these. I don't want to talk about anything sad on the show, but the fires, everything destructive. But we're in Woodland Hills. But my office and my son's school is Calabasas now. But so he knew that he wasn't going to have school on Tuesday. And then I said, Brandon, who's in 7th grade at St. Mel's in Woodland Hills, which is not off. I said, Brandon, I have some bad news for you. I go, I just found out how long Drake's going to be off of school. He's like, don't tell me. How long? And I go, it's long. He goes, I can't. And then he's like, I tell him, and he throws himself on the bed. He's like, I hate that farty turd. I hate Drake. I go, it's not Drake's fault. Like, people have lost homes. Don't be such a dick. Like, it's nothing we can do about it.
That sounds like my youngest going, wait, Georgia's not going to school today? It's ridiculous. Now my chest hurts.
Oh my God, it was, yeah. So no, he's 16. He's getting his license tomorrow. And taking the test tomorrow. Yes. He's actually one of those kids that want to drive. We're not those parents that are not like Ubering our kids till they're 25. No.
Oh, that's
kids,
me. That's me.
Both
My kid's not getting a fucking car.
My stepdaughter got the license too. We were like, no, get the fuck out. Like, you're not.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you got to not be afraid. You got to.
So do you buy them a car and stuff?
He has yes, we got him a truck. Oh, this is the best story. Okay. So when I was in, like Mall of America or something, the girl picks me up in the car, and it's a wrapped car about Mall of America Comedy Club, House of Comedy.
Yes.
And I immediately text my husband. I took a photo of it. I said, let's tell Drake that the only way he's getting the car is if we wrap it with my face and Juicy Scoop. And he's like, okay. So I talk about it on the podcast. This girl's like, we'll send you the wrap. My husband makes it or whatever. So I keep telling him, and I'm like, why? I go, you want to be part of the family or not? Like, if I was a farmer, you'd have to pick up and get corn. This is the business. This is what pays for everything. Why are you being such a dick? You shouldn't even be in Calabasas. We're from the hood of Woodland Hills. You got to tell these kids, I'm not rich like you. I'm driving this fucking car. I mean, when he first got to the school, he was selling Costco snacks out of his backpack to the kids. And he knew the things what to get because they didn't have in the vending, which was all the hottest stuff he would sell. Then he's like, I don't want to do that anymore. Then we made him ride his bike. He's like, I don't want to do that anymore. Now he's getting cushy, getting this car. And I go, well, now you got to wrap. So we are going to wrap it.
Oh my God.
And be like, here you go. Now you can drive to school today. We're going to film it.
Can other comedians go in and get wraps and pay to have your son's car wrapped?
He would probably be okay if it was Joe Coy. He's in love with Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Coy.
Joe would do it in a heartbeat.
So Joe Coy was, our sons were really good friends at St. Mel's.
Yeah. And
actually, I got Joe Coy's son into because I thought that would make my son want to go to, which is the all-boy Catholic high school. But he didn't. So then little Joe Coy's son is over there, but he's doing fine. But anyway,
I so badly want my daughter. My daughter's not this human being. I don't know if this is, I don't know what's wrong with me in this. I so badly want my daughter to go up to other comedians' children's and go like, hey, just my
Yes.
dad's Bert. You're really good friends with your dad, and then go, oh, cool. But I guess that doesn't work like that with kids.
When I found out you had a daughter at my alma mater, which I talk about a lot, and I love that school to death, and it's absolutely why I'm a comedian today, why I am the person
Christina
I am.
Pajinski said the same thing.
Yeah, and Christina, can you believe it? Out of all the people Christina and I meet on Chelsea...
But
Christina,
you guys had to be in the same grade.
No, she's like a couple years younger than I am.
Okay.
Maybe more. I don't know what she is.
No.
A couple years younger.
She's about your
But
age.
anyway, so I was like, this is the greatest school and everything, and... but I feel the same way. Like, I'm like, this is unique, that's unique. But Drake, my son, he wrote a whole paper about how Joe Coy is his hero. He's the funniest person he's ever seen. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, your mom's a comic.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? I feel like it's unfair that I have boys. And my daughter is like proud of me, and she gets a little more excited now if she comes to a show because people are like, oh, are you Mackenzie, my stepdaughter? But they don't get that they should be more excited about me.
Oh, my daughters are not at all. Well, I also talk about them a lot.
Well, I talk about mine a lot too.
But I shit on them.
But did you, in your special,
Yeah.
do you let them watch your special? Did they see it?
No. They saw the parts that they could watch. We did a big viewing party at our friend's house.
Okay.
And I played the parts that they could watch that were
Did you show the ziplining story?
I showed them the
okay, that's
ziplining.
what I thought they could handle.
Because
because
Isla was curious of how that worked out. She's like, I didn't find that day funny. And I was like, well, you should watch it because I tell it funny. And I'm like, well, yeah, do you think I just tell a story straight? Like, that's her big thing. I did a joke about her on Conan getting her period. And she was like, you make fun of it? And I was like, yeah, wait, what did you think I was going to do? She's like, well, I don't know. Just doesn't seem like you'd... Like, I thought you'd just make it look cool because she threw herself a period party. And so I was like, yeah, baby, not a lot of people do that. And she's like, for real? I go, yeah, no one does it. As a matter of fact, no one does it. And she was like, oh my God, do I look like silly? I go, no, it's cool. That's why I talked about it. She goes, yeah, but why did you and the big guy laugh? I go, because we've never heard of something like that. I was like, things are changing and we're old men. And now that little girls and then it went viral. And then all of a sudden, like, little girls were sending emails to my website going like, hey, thank you to you and your family. We welcomed, because she named her period Jason. She said, we welcomed Daryl into our family.
I got my period so late. I was already drove before I got my period.
Wait, how old were you when you got your period?
16, but I already had my license. I was a very late bloomer in every way. But this is what was so funny when I was watching your special. And I'm like, of course she goes to... The way you were talking about her, I'm like, yeah. Of course she goes to the all girl. That is exactly the place she should be. And so my special came out, my first, it's my only, but I hope to do another, came out around 2000. Yeah, it was on Showtime and then Netflix bought it.
Yeah.
And I did not let the kids watch it, and they didn't ask to watch it because I shit on them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I act annoyed by them and everything.
A regular parent would.
Yes.
That's any parent who like just... Oh, my kid's such a badass. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't believe that you have a relationship with your child.
So with my stepdaughter who goes to... that whole lifetime story, which I didn't tell you. Okay, so basically, I'm dating my husband for 9 months in. He starts acting really weird, and I'm like, what is going on? And we were at my sister's place, and like, he would drive by a house and be like, would you like to get a house like this? Everything that a girl wants to hear. Like, I'm like... He has a job, he's tall, he owns a condo, he's got a car, he went to UC San Diego, like, he's fun, he likes to drink, like, everything about it. I was
What's
like,
wrong with
I think I found the one.
Yeah.
The family's delightful, everything. And he's like, well, there's this girl who's saying that she's has my baby or whatever. And I immediately thought like, oh, like a 1.5-year-old, like from a previous, like I just couldn't. No, he impregnated a girl the weekend. Could have been the way I worked it out. This is the juiciest part. So I met him on a Saturday night. I left my other date, went home, made out with him, everything. Then he called me up and it was like, would you like to go out? I can do Wednesday or I can do Friday. And I had been reading this book called The Rules, which is like how to score a husband. And you're not supposed to, and this doesn't really apply today with swiping and Tinder and, texting.
Yeah.
But you were supposed to like let that answering machine message like sit for a day and not call them back and really play like old fashioned, hard to get.
I remember those.
And one of the things was, no, you want the weekend date. You want the weekend date. So I go, no, I'm actually busy. I can do Friday. I think that Thursday is when he was still seeing this girl and impregnated her because they'd only been on like one date.
That's
my daughter. That's my stepdaughter.
Shut up.
So then 9 months later, it's like walking around. Hold on. 9 months later, he tells me this and I'm like, well, are you sure and everything? He's like, I don't know. I just have a feeling, but I'm going to be there. I've already spoke to an attorney. I'm going to, do the tests and if this is my child, I'm going to be part of her life. But you can do whatever you want, And so I had like a week to think about it,
It's kind of a good problem to have because you get a guy. It's almost like, it's like getting I'm trying to think of the right analogy. It's like getting a pilot that just got shot down for the first time, and he's like, you know what? I think I like a desk job, like because he's like coming into the relationship going, you know what? I've just landed one. I'm ready to start settling down. I want to get a house. Like that's why he's be turning into the perfect guy.
But I was, it's devastating too because you think, and it was devastating when she was born. I was like, okay, his first experience with having a baby is not me, all of that. That's really hard.
Yeah.
But I also thought, well, what if I can never have children and this child is healthy and she's a girl? And so then I went and met the woman thinking she's 35. They didn't have a relationship. Won't she feel more comfortable knowing that when Mackenzie's with us for a weekend, that a woman's there to help? This is like a 2-week-old baby. They're going to already start splitting up time. It did not work like that. It turned into a Lifetime movie of freaking hell. And yes, it was awful. Absolutely beyond awful. And, millions of stories with it that I finally told on my Patreon because I never really wanted my daughter like it to be so out, but I wanted to share the story because I knew it'd be comforting because I know how many people have been through step baby mama drama is what I called it. Because it's my step baby's mama's drama, and how hard it is. So then, when she was about 11 or 12, they as a mother-daughter person has started having issues. So then she started to live with us, and so I do this special, and would do this bit about how her mom would call us and give us all the instructions, and it was just such a nightmare. And she'd leave these messages, and she'd be like, "You make sure you give them oh, she's Asian, by the way.
Oh my God!
You make sure that you give Mackenzie the broccoli." She liked the healthy broccoli. She liked the healthy food. Don't just you give her frozen hot dog and popcorn like you give to your boy. She liked the healthy food. She liked the healthy broccoli. And you can afford it too. You told Peter he can afford it. And I would like do this
Holy
bit.
shit.
And she never heard it. My daughter never. But I put it in the special. And I was like, no, you guys can't watch the special till you're 16, whatever. And then, so Mackenzie goes to, and the teachers start going, do you like your broccoli? To Mackenzie.
Oh my God.
And she goes, what's this broccoli thing about? And I go, all right, let me just tell you. I go, your mom has an accent. I can do voices. I go, so this is it, and she's like, okay. And she just thought it was, fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, I will do anyone's voice. Like if you are Southern, if you're I'm going to, impersonate my mother-in-law, everything. And so that's the way you sound. That really happened.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, but still the school, I always thought, oh, this is so amazing. My daughter's here. They're just going to love me. And so Peter would put everything together for like the golf tournaments and all this stuff. And he'd be like, oh, and then I'm going to give tickets away to your show and I'm going to give your book and everything. And then they wrote him and they're like, Peter, we cannot be associated with Heather's brand.
Oh, you created this brand, you motherfuckers.
And then I was like, and I kind of was like, oh, it's okay, and Peter was so mad. He's like, and even my friends were like, God, nobody likes as much as you do. Like you go on KTLA and like start crying and talking about it. And I'm like, I know, but they don't want to use me for their marketing plan. I'm like, whatever, it still was a great place for me and a great place for her, but it's kind of funny, like about the whole thing. And I do think how interesting it would be, like, to have Joe Coy's son. We really should do this. Your daughters, my boys, and kind of like ask, what's it like? But I don't think they're like their friends care or know either, because we're obviously not who they're watching.
Yeah, I don't think. I think Isla, the week my special came out, kids in Isla's school, Isla's still in public school. They knew her dad was shirtless on the front page of Netflix, and and I said to Georgia, we were all three in the pool, and I said, so how's it been? Because I really did trash him pretty hard on the special. I go, how's it been? And Georgia goes, I sent a text to all my friends and said, please don't watch my dad's special. I don't want you to know me the way my dad represents me. I want you to know me for me.
Does she know that by saying please don't watch it, that'll make them want to watch it?
Probably. No, she's so fucking gullible. And so...
What grade is she in?
She's 9th.
Okay.
And then Isla, I said, what about you? And she goes, I don't like people knowing me. I said, what? She goes, I don't like people knowing me that I don't know. Like, for people that at school to look at me and point at me, bothers me. And I was like, oh, I told that to Bert. And Bert's like, bro, you made your fucking kid famous? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You got to ask before you make someone famous. And I was like, shit. He's like, you're like Steph Curry. You just fucking brought your kid out to the press conference.
Oh my God. No, I'll feature them in videos, and I pay them. I pay them $20.
Oh, do not share that with my kids. I only feature them in videos, and I would never pay them anything. One of the funniest videos I've ever made is the Isla rolled in dog shit one time. And it's the fun. I'm telling you, it's the funniest fucking video.
She rolled a dog shit?
She rolled in dog shit.
Oh, rolled in it.
Oh, and it's...
By accident, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. But I go, do you just roll in dog shit? I'm videotaping because I just got a new camera.
Uh-huh.
And it's like right there where the pool is. And she goes, no. And I go, Georgia, smell it and tell me if it's dog shit. She goes, it's mud. I go, smell it and tell me if it's dog shit. She goes, it's mud. I go, Georgia, smell it and tell me if it's dog shit. And she smells it, stands up and goes, it's dog shit. And Isla's like, it's dog shit. And I am laughing so hard I can't get out of the chair. I'm drinking a glass of red wine, and all you hear is me going, and then my wife has to come out, and she's like, what's the matter, Isla? Isla goes, it's dog shit. But yeah, I've leveraged my relationship with my children to sell tickets since day one.
I just started that a few years ago. I say you got to be in this, and they get $20 an hour. But then Drake tried to. My older son, they're both really like my husband, and they're
so
all.
How old are your kids?
So sophomore in high school, 16 is Drake.
Okay.
And my other son is 7th grade, Brandon.
7th grade, Brandon.
Yeah.
7th grade. Okay.
12.
Yeah, that's Isla.
12. Yeah. And so Drake's like, how long did
you were having kids when I was having kids?
Yeah. He's like,
so you were having kids when you were on Chelsea?
No.
You'd already had them?
No, they were little. When I started, they were 5 and 1.5 when I started on Chelsea, which was really hard, which I had a lot of mom stress and guilt about leaving every day. Yeah.
And I can't imagine that. Yeah, I can't.
And this is my advice to anybody working. And this is a Josh Wolf story too. I was so happy to have the job. I pursued the job. I got the job. I knew.
Did you know Chelsea before?
Yes. Okay. It's like socially, but we weren't that close. We became closer during the show. But I was like, hey, if I don't get like a real gig again, like it's going to be really hard for me to get back in the game. I'm 36 and like I got to make this happen. So I get the job and they're like, okay, it's for 13 weeks. And I really did, as everyone says, I really thought, okay, it'll be over with, but at least I'll have a credit and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And my mom's like, all right, we'll just like make the nanny full time and, And I was like, okay, so I did it. And throughout the years, I was the only mom at the time. One guy had a kid, no other mothers, the men haven't started having babies yet. And they all had stay-at-home wives. And I just did not play that mom card. I missed everything. And then 5 years in, Josh Wolf, who's a regular on the round table, Chelsea loved him and wanted him to be a writer as well. And he basically was like, all right, but I've got a kid. I'm going to leave when I want, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, whatever you say, Josh. And so it was like Monday at 3. And he's like, I'm out. And Sue Murphy, who's our executive producer, is like, oh, Jacob's got a baseball game? Yeah, good luck. God, he's an amazing father. I was like, I fucking missed everything. T-balled it, everything. And I was like, But then I only had myself to blame. So I just did like an inspirational speech for like women in the workplace. And I said, fucking act like a man, set the rules. And men too. You've got a kid, say, hey, if I don't have to be here, my kid has a game at 4, I'm going to leave. I'll send my work later. Like if you said it at the top, I go, I didn't set it at the top and I didn't have the balls to wager that and then have them possibly go, you don't seem happy. Because I couldn't lose the job. So it's like, it's one thing that I really, those little things I regret. But, my kids are still great. And, I miss those baby times and those cuter times. But I still enjoy them. They don't let me hug and kiss them anymore. But I still
Mine either.
enjoy them.
I missed all of it. I had the same fucking exact thing. I just talked to Joe Coy about this.
Yeah.
I missed all of it. I mean, I remember what I remember.
Yeah.
But
because I'd go on the roads on the weekends too.
I'd go on the road on the weekends.
Because the minute Chelsea asked me, I was like, and I remember her boyfriend, who's Ted Harbert, who was president of me, the first time I opened for her, he goes, you guys are the perfect combination because you guys have the same audience but different points of view, and you got the mom, young mom, thing, and she's like crazy single girl. And he goes, wish we could take you on the road every week. And I go, oh, you can. Yeah. And my husband was like, yeah, do it,
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking, I missed out,
Dude, you know what? I remember.
But I don't regret one thing.
I don't regret it
because I wouldn't be here today if I didn't take all those steps. If I didn't accept the book deal when I was so busy where I had to write it on the weekends. It wasn't going to come when you're not busy. Like you have to take it all when it comes.
It was my buddy Tom is a movie producer, and he says you got to make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah,
and that's the truth. And you should know that like I don't think it's male female, although I think you were put in a weird position because as a woman, when you speak up for yourself about having kids, a lot of people are like, oh, here we go. This is why you don't hire women. And
or they think that you can't handle it, which is another thing I've learned is I used to cry at work. When Chelsea first started, one time I called and I'm like, we had a pool and my younger son was 1.5 and we had everything. But one day I just called and my 5-year-old son, who's an asshole, he's been an asshole from even at 2. He'd be like, I'd be trying to get him out of the car seat. Rain is coming down and he wanted to do his car seat himself. And he'd be like, Drakey, do it. Like just from the start, difficult. He's the exact clone of my husband. It's like I have 2 husbands. Brandon is now going down that route of being super cheap and asking me, is it free? Did we get this for free? Don't pay for this. I'm like, fucking. So anyway,
oh my God.
It's just bizarre.
We're almost like doppelgangers.
We have so much in common. Okay, so I when it called and Drake is like, oh, Brandon, he's outside. I think he's still, something about the pool, like joking. And I knew he was joking to make me think, because how funny to make your mom who's working that her 1.5-year-old son has drowned. For a 5-year-old, that's a great joke to do on your mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And I just like was sitting there and I started to cry. And someone's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know, like whatever. And people then would make fun that I would cry at work often. And not until I saw this article in like a Cosmo, which was like why women shouldn't cry at work. And you shouldn't. You fucking shouldn't. It makes everyone around you feel like you can't handle the job. So I think as a mom, if you express that you can't do this or you want this time off or God, I want to do, then they say, okay, she's good, but she can't handle the promotion and she can't handle the next thing. So it's a really fine line of trying to ask for something that you want to go do. And sometimes I say lie. Sometimes I say call in sick. I never used my sick days. In 7 years, I used 3 sick days. Because I always was like, oh, there's a show today. I've got to be there for the show, And it's like, but I was like, oh, I could have called in sick and just not posted and been smart about it and had a moment or been home with my sick kid or whatever. But I didn't. So it's like, that's my advice to working moms. Like you have to be very strategic and know that it's never going to be the same, because as much as dads are the best dads this is the greatest generation of dads for sure. But there's something in our emotional body that will be different than yours that will give us guilt. If you're going out and making money and paying for the mortgage you are going to be like, I'm providing for my family.
Partly, yes.
I would say that too, but there would be more of, I would be at school and they'd be like, what are you doing here? Not filming today? You know, I'm like, no, actually I am. Oh, you just have no makeup on. I'm like, actually I do, bitch. Like, what's this? And they'd be like, Peter is the greatest. Peter is the greatest. And I'm like, and also on the show, the other comics and stuff would jab at my husband a lot.
Really?
Because you can make fun of men.
Oh, yeah.
But you cannot make fun of women. So when people say, is it hard being a female comic? I say I have it so easy because I make fun of my husband on stage and all the men laugh and he laughs and I go, but nowadays male comics have to walk a finer line of what they say about their significant other if she's a woman.
I called her a haggard bitch last night. I have a great joke. She voted for me. She didn't trust me, so she got 2 write-in ballots. And sent them in. And I go on Tuesday, are we going to go vote? And she goes, oh, you already voted. I go, I did? She goes, yeah, I sent it in for you. I was like, wait. She's like, yeah, I didn't trust you, so I got it for you. Don't worry, you're good.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
but that's something that could happen to me. But I've always liked to go in. I like to go into my spot, and I like to pop it.
In all fairness, she didn't think I was going to be home on that Tuesday because I was supposed to be on the road or supposed to be doing something. And so that's why she got the write-in ballots.
Yeah.
And then was just like, well, he's never going to fucking fill it out. I'll just do it for him. And I don't trust who the fuck he's voting for. Because what upset him about the Kavanaugh thing isn't what it should upset other people.
Tell me what's upset you about it.
Defending your yearbook.
What?
Defending your yearbook posts. I was like, can you imagine?
But that's all I made. That's what I loved about it too, because my show is not political at all.
Mine is not at all.
And I actually made like a commitment to it before Trump was elected, like a few months before. I go, hey, this point forward, no politics, no posting on my page politics. It will be removed. And sometimes it's really hard not to.
Yeah.
And I also don't talk about sad shit either. So I'm like, sad shit in the world, sad shit in my life I'll share. But like, I just am like, and it's hard. So, but we were doing a live Juicy Scoop and it was Chris Frangiola. And he's like, and all day long was the hearings. And he's like, I just think we have to dress it a little. I go, okay, we will. But that was basically all we did was just go, like who and then like Chris brought up, like, he's like, hey, it's his dad's birthday, but he still went to the beach party with his friends. He's like, why isn't anyone bringing up that he's kind of a shitty son?
Oh.
Like, it was amazing. The beach week and
Beach week and the fact that he kept a diary?
Yeah.
Like, what fucking dude keeps a diary like a serial killer? And when they go, this is the other thing that really blew me out of the water. These are the things that upset me.
Yes.
Is because I would have been him. I would have hung out with his friends. I would have been partying with him.
I was writing my friends. I go, this is every guy in the brew crew. That's who we used to call the Crespi guys that we would meet at Collier Street with our wine coolers. We called them the brew crew.
Yeah.
I go, this is if the brew crew was going to be elected to Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, and he goes, I've always had a weak stomach. I can't even have ketchup on my spaghetti. And I went, who the fuck has ketchup on their spaghetti? Like, if you sat down at dinner with someone, I want you to meet a prospective Supreme Court justice, and you're like, so man, it's very nice to meet you. My name's Bert. I'm gonna get a double Tito's and soda. And he's like, I'm just gonna get spaghetti with ketchup. I'd be like, I'm fucking out. I can't listen to a word you say. My wife's like, okay, I appreciate that you're upset by things, but you're not upset with what upset you. And I was like,
right.
But once again, it's like, even saying that, people get so things have gotten so fucking out of control. I don't even want to address it.
Yeah, it's just it's hard. I mean, and with all of it, and I'm raising 2 white straight males. Okay, I wished one was gay,
you mean oppressors.
Yes. And so I'm like, I kind of want there still to be a future for your types, because I'm raising them. I don't want them all knowing not to get a job, not to get to college. And I'm like, I mean, and I do get scared. I'm like, hey, when the time comes, Drake, if you want to have sex, I go, first of all, you're going to be 18, your senior year of high school. It turns in October. Okay. Because he was October 29th, so we did 1 free year of preschool at public, and they needed kindergarten, and they needed kindergarten all the way again at St. Mel's. So he's tall, he has the confidence, he's
so smart.
He's the perfect October winner. Okay, so. But I said, you will be 18 in high school. I go, so if you have sex with someone under 18 in high school and their parents are like super Christians, I go, your life could be over. I go, so anybody that you have sex with, You are going to film them. We have a breathalyzer because my brother-in-law is a DUI attorney. I go, you're going to breathalyze them. The girl's going to be like, hello, my name is Kaylee Johnson. I'm 19 years old. Here's my ID. Here's my breathalyzer. I'm ready to have sex with Drake Tobias. And then you're going to send that file to Michael Goldstein, who's my sister's husband, just in case. And I don't think that's a crazy way to act.
Dude, right now, every fucking dude on my podcast was like, fuck yes. This is what sex has turned into.
But I'm sorry, but it's you got to. It's like going to be the same. I'm like, just think of it as like there was a time where people drove drunk and then you were told you don't get in a car when you're drunk. Okay, well, you don't stick your dick in someone that you have not had sex with before for the first time if you're really fucking drunk. Yeah. That should kind of be the thing. Like, if that starts to get in your head. What?
One night stands are for 22-year-olds.
Yes. Wait till it's stressful with that, I can't, but yeah, I mean, with all of it, the one thing I said to my husband, because he would be watching, the Bill Cosby stuff and all these women, and we'd be watching a 2020. He's like, I just don't get it. If that was me, I'd walk into the LAPD and I was like, this motherfucker. I'm like, okay, so Peter, you're 6'3" and you're white. I go, so when was the last time you were ever afraid? And he's like, I go, just when? 11? By your brother, maybe? Like, never. I go, well, as a woman, we're afraid all the time. And as people of different color, when they walk into a place, they get afraid. If they're in a too white of a neighborhood or something and they walk around, or, I go, that's all that I feel this stuff has made people more aware of. Is just be aware that it's not that you're a bad person. You're not racist. It's just, you're of a size. You're a man. Like, even with my kids, I was like, oh, you've aged out of being kidnapped. Like, I literally was like, you're too big to throw in a van. What a relief. But with my daughter, I'll be worried for the rest of her life. But my son is 6'4". He won't get kidnapped. The other one is almost there. He's aging out of that cute, perfect age to kidnap. So I feel relief. It's in that respect.
What you said that really rings a bell with me is there are things I've heard. See, like I know that I know I'm a meathead. I get it, and I mean that's my eyes have been open to what a bro I am and how my life, not every white guy's life, but my life has been like an easy pass.
Yes.
Or I haven't, but I didn't know that. I didn't know any of that. But I started. I think when Twitter got, Lindy West was the first person that ever kind of aggravated me. And then I thought,
who's Lindy West?
Lindy West was the one who came out at Tosh really hard about his rape joke.
Oh, okay.
And rape culture and male privilege and all that. And I was like, I got really frustrated. And then I thought, and by the way, I know no one's gonna expect this from me. I'm super self-correcting. Mm-hmm. So I thought maybe I should check her out and read some of her stuff and and form an opinion other than the exact same opinion every white comic has. Right. If I'm going to talk about any of this stuff, I want to be informed. And she did. Then she wrote this article about fat shaming which I didn't think was real, right? And then I got fat shamed, and I went, oh, it's very real. I was like, well, if that's real. And then I read this article about people coming out as fat and going like, hey, I was happier when I wasn't worried what everyone thought about my body. Like I was much happier.
They were happier when they were overweight.
They were happier.
And they weren't being focused on.
And they weren't the focus of like, you need to lose weight. And then people looking at them like, ugh. Like when they just were like, accepted themselves for who they were. And I connected with that very intensely. And I went, okay, hold on. So let's go and revisit. And at the time there was that hashtag, yes, all women. Mm-hmm. And one of the ones I think Lindy West had retweeted was, yes, all women are terrified when they order a pizza. And I went, that like connected, and I was like, yeah, that's just some dude coming to your door going, so you're alone, huh? A dude, by the way, Halston delivered pizzas, but like that's just, and I was like, what the fuck?
I just had a moment where I got a little bit scared the other day. I was checking into the hotel. I won't say what city because I don't want to address it because the guy did nothing wrong. But I was in and they're always like, what are you here for? And blah, blah, blah. And I don't really like to say that I'm there for the, I'm like, oh, just for work, whatever, But I don't know. I think I was like, knew that my tickets weren't selling that well. So I was like, oh, I'm here. I'm the headlining, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And So he's like, oh, okay. And then he, shows me where everything is. He brings my bags in. I'm like, okay, I give him $10, whatever. And he goes to leave. And then he lets the door shut and he comes right back to where the bed is. And it was like, oh, are you on like half price gold stub ticket, whatever? But I was like, I don't know. And he's like, oh, it's really cool because I saw blah, blah, blah. And he's like talking to me. And I was just, that was like the first time in a while that I was like, some shit could go down right now. Like, I don't know
totally could.
what I would do.
That's the thing that I think.
And he was perfectly fine, by the way. But that's what I'm saying is what we experience that your size
do not experience.
Yes.
I never experienced that. And I never experience, if I get pulled over, there's not panic that goes through my. I was just with Jesus Trejo, and we're walking back from the Virginia Beach Funny Bone, and there's like 8 cops out.
Yeah.
And I'm drunk and high. It's my birthday. And I see the cops. I go, what's up, fellas? And Jesus, who's Mexican, shivers. And they're like, how you doing? I said, great, it's my birthday. And the guy's like, oh, happy birthday, man. I said, yeah. I said, what's going on tonight? He said, some disturbance down here. I was like, all right, man. Well, hey, you guys be safe. Take care. And he's like, yep, you too. And then as we walked, one of the guys goes, hey, the machine. I go, what's up, man? And he's like, oh, dude, you at the Funny Bone? Fucking around? Yeah, man. Fucking hammered. It's my birthday. Oh, get home safe. Jesus is shaking. He's like, dude, why would you ever alert the police to our existence? And I'm like, are you being serious?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I'm being dead serious. I've never once in my life seen cops and been like, what's up, fellas? Because they're going to go, you look a lot like the guy we're looking for. And I was like,
oh my God, I know.
I was like, really? I go, dude, every time I see cops, I say hi to them. I've never once, as a child, if we saw a cop car, we were taught to chase it down and get it to stop, and he would give us Rowdy trading cards. So if you saw cops driving in the neighborhood, you chased down the cop car and got in front of it like, stop, stop, stop. And I was like, oh my God, it's that little shift in perspective. Chris Rock, they talked about racism in Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. And he said, he goes, there wasn't racism. And by the way, I'm paraphrasing Chris Rock, who's one of the greatest minds alive. But what this blew my mind. He goes, what it was is that Lorne Michaels and Adam Sandler had a shorthand that I didn't have. Because Adam Sandler's dad looked like Lorne Michaels. So in a weird way, when they talked, there was a shorthand that I was unfamiliar with. And I went, wow.
Well, one thing about SNL back in the day that I realized is I was working. So my first job was working on the Keenen Ivory Wayans late night talk show.
Such an interesting pivot.
So a pivot of this conversation or my life?
No. It's such an interesting, because you were in Groundlings.
So I was in Groundlings and his show had just started. And I had a manager. I finally got a manager. And I mean, I had these awful stories. I mean, it was so hard to get an agent. I had to invite people to the shows. And I remember I was doing Luna Park and I invited 8 agents. I had 3 meetings with this agency. I had invited 8 agents and the guy running the show wouldn't let me put them on the comp list. So I had to, it was $8 a ticket. I had to put $64 on my card. And they, the guy that went on before me was a funny, cute, white guy. And they were all excited for him. And he got off stage and they all talked to him. And no, they did not watch me. And they signed him.
Who was he?
I don't even remember. He's no one super famous now. But
yeah.
I just was like, that's a story. Like, that's what it was like. So anyway, and I always thought, I'm going to be on a sitcom. I want to be like on Friends or a mom in a sitcom, whatever.
I got to say too, but you were in a time in comedy. What we're talking about was when, almost, if you were pretty, it was a super big hindrance.
Yes, it was.
Like, I don't think it is that way as much now.
Even around the people that were in the Groundlings with me, they were very prejudicial to the fact that I was pretty, that I was from the Valley, that I cared about how I looked, that I was an alternative. I went to USC. I was in a sorority. I loved that life. It was fine for Will Ferrell to be a frat guy that go into SC. Yeah. But for me, it was like they were really, very more highbrow education. And even though SC is super hard to get into, at that time it was still seen as like the rich kids school. University of Successful, we'd call it successful children. They'd call it spoiled children, whatever. So it was a little like that. And so I had this manager and he goes, hey, would you want to turn in a packet for Keenen Ivory Wayans late night talk show. And I had a friend that had been writing on it, and I knew that he like fired people all the time. And if you got fired, you'd get paid for the full 13 weeks because it was Writers Guild. So I was like, all right, what do I have to do? Oh, you have to do this parody jokes and commercial parodies. And so I stayed home on Labor Day weekend, which I was killing myself staying home.
I'm thinking of the most racist things in my head right now because they're like, oh yeah, just do a bunch of impressions of what white guys look like when they see black people. Send that in, and then they should be good.
No, actually, the commercial parody that I wrote that he loved there was a series of commercials about a guy sitting next to his girlfriend or wife finding out that she was pregnant, and how great that is. And I wrote like the real experience of the guy being like, wait a minute, I didn't talk to and I wrote it like a guy would. So he loved that. And but I had to spend all weekend, and I missed all the parties in Manhattan Beach. I mean, Labor Day weekend for me, like I was still husband hunting. Like there were two priorities in my life. There was the SC girl, I wanted to live in Newport and like be cute. And then there was this other one that was like, God gave you this gift, and if you don't use it, you're being an asshole to God, so you have to pursue stand-up. But the two didn't really go together because the comic guys didn't really like me that much.
What year is this?
This would be late 90s, like 97.
Yeah.
And then the normal guys that were doctors and stuff that I'd meet at a bar that asked me out, because my sister was a criminal defense attorney, so we lived together. So she would come to all the shows with me, and she was beautiful and blonde. And they're like, wait, she's a criminal defense attorney, like going to prisons, and you're a stand-up. It was just such a weird, but I would always bring these great crowds to the Bringer shows because they were educated, they were smart, they were nice to everybody. My parents would walk up to every single comic and be like, you were fabulous. And like, so... But at the same time, then there was rumors that, Heather's filling the room. Heather's filling the room. She's really not that funny, And so it was like something I was fighting against because I'm from LA and I started in LA. So, so with the Keenan Ivory Wayans thing, I go, okay, so I'll fill it out. And I went in and I met him, and he was kind of sick that day. And I was like, okay. And then I leave and I call my manager. I'm like, I don't think he was into it or whatever. He's like, no, you already got the job. So I had this job at 27, a Writers Guild job. And I absolutely didn't realize how fucking lucky I was and how coveted that was to be in the Writers Guild at 27. Like I just kind of was like, I just want to, hopefully I'll get fired and get paid $20,000, whatever the amount was at the time. And I was just like, okay, I'll try to do this. And it was, so he had 6 white guys writing for him and about 6 black guys and 1 black woman, Allison Faust, who I'm still great friends with today. And she walked right up to me. She's like, I'm the only other woman here. And I got that job because he wanted a white woman's perspective. So I never want to act like I had it harder because essentially my first job, was sort of because he's like, well, God, let's see what she has to. And it was turned out to be, a short-lived experience because the show didn't last long, but it was, a really weird experience. And I also didn't realize like I should have stuck with getting those writing jobs. I still wanted to be the person on TV, but then I think everything all works out. You have those regrets in your career and you might even regret it for like 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't done that one thing that I regretted because that forced me to work hard on this, which then got me to here, which is really where I'm supposed to be. But often like you talk about SNL, right after Keenan, I got this show called Lyricist Lounge, which was...
I know Lyricist Lounge.
Yes, it was a sketch show on MTV, and we had...
the Lyricist... Yeah, I know Lyricist Lounge.
So I was the white girl with Tracy Ellis Ross. So we were... So again,
I know Lyricist Lounge.
I got a job.
That is a throwback. I definitely watch that. Holy shit.
So Ian Edwards...
I just saw him last night.
Wrote on Keenan with me, and then he and Allison, who was also in Keenan, they were writing on this. And they're like... And Allison calls me. She goes, they hired this white girl. And I'm like, she's not funny. We need a white girl. And I'm like, you got to meet Heather. So I'm always like, the black man has been extremely good to me because then I got that job. And they were like, oh, and I tried to audition for this. Nobody would see me. Okay. Yeah. And then and
you're great with impressions. Like you're great with voices.
Yeah. And I would do characters. But the impressions... Groundling shit upon impressions. So they only wanted like original characters. So I kind of pushed that aside until
really until I got on Chelsea. And then one day I just sat there and I go, oh, Drew Barrymore, she's, what the fuck? She has a winery. Yes, she went to rehab at 9. Aren't you supposed to like give up alcohol altogether? And I just started to like do her. And then they're like, oh my God. And then they're like, then I did same thing else. I'm reading about Celine Dion. I started to do Celine. And I kind of like pushed the impressions off because I always felt like, well, if one person does that impression on Mad TV, they'll think I'm copying them if I do the impression.
There's a lot of thievery in impressions.
But
thought of thievery. Even thought of thievery. Like everyone's like, I created Chris Walken. Like everyone says that.
No, and I'm like, you know what? Here's the thing. I say no one owns an impression.
Yeah.
Everyone does it different. It's the words that you say, I think, as someone who can write. I'm like, look, someone might get a voice down better because I do a lot of housewives and stuff. And there's other people that do that. And there's funny men that do it too. And I'm like, but it's what I can have them say and do that, you know, people seem to enjoy. And I even had a comedy manager, Barry Katz, interviewed me, and he's like, you need to stop doing, he goes, you need to stop doing those impressions. And I go, well, I'm an impressionist. I do impressions. He goes, no, you don't. You're a mimic. And I go, and I just go, you know what? This is what the people told Angela Johnson. Don't do your nail bit. And she like felt all self-conscious about it because other comics were fucking jealous of her success. And I'm like, people want to see that. If I'm bringing joy to you, I'm not going to stop bringing joy because some bitter comic who's jealous of me is telling me that I'm a hack because I fucking have an ear for voices. Like that's a gift. So why wouldn't I do it?
People told me incessantly, you got to stop telling the machine. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
I go to my shows. I go to all my shows, and I know how the night runs, and I know that when I start that story, the place goes nuts, and I'm not doing it because I don't have material.
Right.
I'm doing it because
these
people paid $35 for a ticket, $45 for a ticket, and if I give them an hour of new material that fulfills me as a comic, I will definitely do another 15 minutes and tell them the story that they brought their friends to hear.
Right.
You know what? Advice from
that.
fucking comics is fucking
Well,
useless.
that's kind of like Angela does that too. She'll do like the nail bit at the end. She goes, but for like a couple years, she
Let
said,
me tell you something. I saw her at the Ryman, and I wanted to see the fucking nail bit. I'm sitting in the back going, I hope she does a nail. Did she do it
at the end?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Okay,
I'm like,
but she, because we had a lot in common too. And when I interviewed her, she goes, yeah, for like a year and a half, I did it because all these comics told you're hacky and you're relying on this. And she goes, and then I would get an email or I'd have someone walk up to me after and be like, we drove 5 hours. And I'm like, I know. And then she's,
fuck them.
You know, it's that Catholic guilt and everything. And so you're like, you're right. Like, let me just make people happy. They got a sitter, they paid. Like,
yes,
this is an experience for you. I'm not, you know.
Let me tell you, the fucking thing that aggravates me the most is like when a comic who, by the way, is not selling tickets, a comic that is not selling tickets, is critical of a comic selling tickets. And you go, I'm sorry. Last night I heard, I was at the store and I was in the back bar and I was just working on what I wanted to work on. And I heard comics shitting on other comics and saying their names, and they were in the back smoking cigarettes, shitting on, and I was listening to the whole thing.
What were they saying? Don't say names, but just what they saying.
The fucking Mitzi would be fucking rolling over in her grave if she knew that guy got spots. That guy fucking, dude, he's a hack, and the only reason he's here is because he's famous. I was waiting for them to say my name, to be dead honest with you. And so I was like listening, and I'm like, and then I'm thinking, they don't understand the game. They don't understand they don't understand the business side of it and what that guy provides and what that guy's doing, and that guy, maybe you could be critical of his act, but you can't really because people are enjoying it, and that's the point of comedy. And then I got ready to do my set, and I just peeked my head out, and I was like, oh, not one person who gets paid to do stand-up is doing this.
Did you say that to them?
Nope.
Oh.
Because I don't like competition. I stuck my head out.
I wouldn't either. I don't like it either. But
and I was like, that makes total sense. And I walked in, and it would have destroyed me if they'd said something negative about me, and I was waiting for my name to come up. But fuck everyone when it comes to like giving advice. I just told someone, I was like, I was giving them advice, which I shouldn't have done, but I was saying the whole point, I go, everyone's got a different path. So you can't listen to someone who goes, fuck that club, it's shit money. You don't know what they were getting offered, and they're not going to tell you what they really got offered. And if you want to do it, do the fucking club. I paid out of pocket to go feature for like 2 years, never made a cent on it, everyone. I remember Amy Schumer would be like, "What? Why would you do that? You got to ask for $1,500." And I was like, "I'm not getting that." And I'm in a situation where I want to do stand up. This is my path. I apologize for interrupting, but like
no,
but
as
nuts.
You mean as a feature, yes, and sometimes that's the case because if the headliner isn't making that much, it doesn't make sense to then, even as much as you want a great feature to come with you, you know, and sometimes it just financially doesn't make sense to bring that person. And I have a lot of guilt about someone being out of pocket and stuff. So sometimes I'm like, okay, wait, let me see if I can add another show in another city, and then you can come with me, and then I'll make it worth it because I want to make sure that you're making money, that I can cover your flight, and like I always, you know, think about stuff like that a lot.
My dogs are in the house, correct? Okay, good. There's a fucking pool guy out there, and I'm like, I can just imagine this. So what happened from Lyricist Lounge to Chelsea?
So with Lyricist Lounge, so then after that, speaking of SNL, so I had this great, you know, reel together and everything, and SNL.
Is that reel online right now?
I know. It was like I had to put it on
YouTube. Please put it on YouTube.
I think some people might have the
Go
YouTube.
to Legacy Box, get it shift
I
over.
know there was a sketch, Horrible Quality, which was a bit that I did, that I wrote. And that was the other thing. When I got the pilot, they said, my agent called me and goes, okay, you're going to get the pilot for this MTV show, Lyricist Lounge. He goes, Heather, it's the worst money I've ever heard of anybody getting. It's $1,200 for the whole week. And I go, I don't care. I need to get something. Yeah. Like I need to, you know, I'm $18,000 in credit card debt from wigs and groundlings and all this other shit that I needed. And, you know, I'm like, I gotta make this happen. And so then I go into the meeting and they're like, well, do you have any ideas? And I brought in everything. And in the end, the pilot, like 6 of the 8 or 10 sketches were things I wrote. And then they put me on the show, and then they're like, and not until the table read of like the first show did the MTV executives go, we didn't realize you were writing all this. We're going to give you a writer's salary on top of it too. And I go, oh, you are? Like, just everything about me, I was just so dumb, you know, and just so happy to work.
It's not dumb. It's not dumb though, but I think because I do that same thing where I go, I just don't want to fuck myself out of an opportunity.
Yes.
So like I'll overproduce for you.
Oh, I know. So you've heard of cameos? Have you heard of Cameo?
No, I heard, was it Dalia talking about Cameo? What's Cameo?
So Cameo, it's this app, okay? And the reason I do it is because I would get people that would say, it's my daughter's wedding day. It's my best friend. She just had babies. She's sad from postpartum. Could you send her a video? And then I would like try to do it. And then I would try to send it. And it was too big of a video to send back through the email. I had to find the email. So when Cameo came, they're like, you can send these videos and it's all through the app. And you can charge what you want. Now, I charge not much at all because I feel like it's like my little whatever.
So like for like dudes' 21st birthdays.
Yes, and things like that. Okay,
oh my God, I'm totally doing this. I do this in line for people. Give me their phones and like, can you do a video?
But
to my
what
friend?
makes it great with the Cameo, it just makes it really easy because you can read it and do the thing. So I start to do it, and I do it, and I only do it when I'm like full hair and makeup, and then I do like 5 impressions for the person. I do like a 2-minute Cameo, and my son goes, Mom, you've got to stop going above and beyond. What are you doing? He's like, you just did 3 impressions. I'm like, well, they asked for it and she just had a baby. And like, but then I watch other people's cameos.
We are so fucking much alike. You have no idea. People are like, can you just say hi to my friends?
Because you went to the Jesuit high school. Maybe that's why.
I wonder if there's some sort of Catholic.
It's Catholic. Well, I always say Christian service. I always tell people, do your Christian service. Spread the word of Juicy Scoop as you would Jesus Christ. Everything I do, I go, oh, it's Christian service. I almost like keep like a bar. Like if it's something I don't want to do, I go, oh, but that I should do because I don't have my hours in my brain.
Oh my God. I love that you're saying this. I cannot say no to a gig. Like if someone goes, hey, can you do this? It just last night's the first time I did it and I said no, but I then said, I will do whatever you want any other time. Sunday is hard for me because I'm coming home and I really want to take time off.
You do have to start saying no to stuff. I mean, there's certain things like.
I haven't said no. You have no fucking idea, Heather.
So
you have no idea. I haven't said no.
Well, you should start. Like I get offers and, you know, and it's like if I have to go on 2 planes, it either has to be really great or we pass because I'm like, that is, to me, that's just, it's added stress. And and my husband knows I get bitchy. So he goes, it could only be twice a month. It could only be twice a month. And then something else comes. And I go, but what if in a year nobody offers me this?
We have to
I'm always like,
we have to go out to dinner with 2 of our families. We'll bring both our families. We'll go to Benihana, and we have to, because I have a feeling me and you are.
Call Peter and tell him to come now.
Because
he's got to meet Bert before we're done.
I feel like I am so similar.
Well, that's
to
why
you.
when I watched your special, I was like, wait, when should we switch to mine? Because I don't want to. I don't want to like not be able to have you.
No, don't worry.
Okay, because I need you.
I'm good. I'm good for.
Okay, I'm
all
good
day,
too.
yeah.
But I just want to make sure I have.
I have a
this.
2:00 podcast.
Okay,
it's 11. We're fine.
Okay.
I'm downloading Cameo right now because you have no idea. This is all. I
brings
almost.
it
It might affect
is?
my ticket sales because I think people are going to go, oh, never mind. I got the video. I don't need to go see them live.
No. It's not like that. It's honestly like bringing joy to people. Like I'm friends with some housewives, and they're doing them. But then this one housewife, I go, you should do it, and she goes, why? I can post, something about 310 shake and make $5,000. Why would I want to spend my time doing a video? And I'm like, because you're going to bring joy to something. Like, that's going to make someone really happy.
That's why I do this podcast.
But I think comics and people like you and I do it because of the love of the art. And then other people that instantly really become famous, and they never had to be in a play, and all of a sudden, like a reality show star and stuff. And I'm not saying they're bad people, but they don't get that they didn't have a calling like we did. You know what I mean? Like, it's... like it's like a calling.
100%.
It's like, I mean, that's why I started to do it, because I didn't pursue it in college. And anytime someone had a pager on at SC, that meant they had an agent. They were doing things.
Yeah.
And I was not pursuing it because I was from here. So I was like, I don't want to be a waitress at 27, and I don't want to be struggling. And then I finally got fired from my first job that was like this corporate job. And I just was like, God's going to be mad at me if I don't do that. Because even at my music teacher said, why are you not a stand-up comic? Yeah. Why are you going to SC? You should just be doing stand-up, which nobody has those kind of stories. Most people are like, my parents were disgusted that I pursued this. Like, my parents were like, Heather, it's evening at the Improv. One day you'll be on that stage. Like, they were the most supportive, love to come all the time. When Groundlings ended, because I did the whole Sunday show, and I didn't make it into the main company, because this is interesting. The way Groundlings works is they're supposed to graduate you within like a year and a half or a year of the Sunday show. There were so many of us, and nobody at SNL was giving up their spot of this because once you give up your spot, you can never perform at the 99 person theater again. And it was such an incestual, weird situation. And so I was like, okay, so I was at 2 years, and that day was the first day I started Keenan, and Jennifer Coolidge called me, and she goes, hey, it's Jennifer, and I just want you to know, like, you're healthy, like you have a healthy point of view, and I voted for you, but she goes, if you don't make it, she's like, just know that your life will probably be better because of it. And I was like, but I want to do it. I want to.
Yeah.
And I think because they were like, she already has a job, whatever. So I didn't make it. Okay.
Okay.
I have to
parallel my fucking story.
Okay, yeah.
I had an agent one time tell me, you're not ever going to book anything, but you're going to be fine. And I went, what? And he goes, one day people will just want to see Bert. So don't worry about it, but you'll never book anything.
Like an actor.
Like an actor. And I went, but then why am I going on auditions? He goes, I think that's part of the gig, but just so you know. And I was like, okay, is that you getting out of, like, there are so many parallels, it's ridiculous.
There's so many. When I was watching your special, I was like, I was like, this is crazy. And the way you talk about it's just that you have girls. And it's the same because you're the guy with the 3 girls. Like, I literally filmed us going to this. I went to this thing. I thought it was going to be cool. It was called The Last Car Race. And I got invited through Writers Guild or something. And I show the trailer to my son. He goes, oh, it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it is, but it's just too mature of a documentary. So, but we were going to go down. I'm like, it's at the car museum. Like, I have boys. There's only so many things I can do. Yeah. I can go to haunted horror nights. I can go on Magic Mountain rides. Like, even that, if I go golfing, I have to be completely silent. And then if I say good shot, they're like, that wasn't a good shot. I'm like, all right, Dick. Like, I don't even know. Like, it's the worst. But each moment, I'm like, how many more weeks, how many more years do I even have where, like, they're going to even want to talk to me at all? So I was getting to your thing about.
I'm with girls.
That's so exciting. So we're in the car. And my husband and my older son start talking about the cost of driving to Mammoth versus flying, and how the they start to calculate the dollars per gallons, and then the wear and tear on the car, and this and that. And it was so fucking boring and so annoying. I start to film it. And just then, Peter farts, and my younger son goes, "God, Dad." He's like, "God, Dad, why do I have to always be behind you farting?" And the conversation just continues. And I just sat there, and I said it to my sister this morning. And I'm like, I just want you to know, like, what this fucking, it's a fucking nightmare. I feel like I am just like trapped, like nobody, and they like, kind of bully me in a way. Like, I don't know. It's just, and especially with my stepdaughter wanted to leave. She did not enjoy hanging out with us. Like, she loves me. Like, we get along and everything. But she felt like such the odd person. Here she was the girl. She was Asian. She was artsy. I mean, the day Trump won, she was crying. The boys were cheering. It was a fucking nightmare. It was a nightmare. And I'm walking into a room consoling her. And she's like, but I'm like, well, just make sure you're always on the pill. Like, just make sure you're always on the pill.
Yeah.
Don't worry. She goes, but what if it gets overturned? I go, okay, I don't think it will, but for yourself, just make sure you never get that. I don't know what to say. I was like, it was just, but that's what we had to deal with, And
that's hilarious. My wife today, I was asleep. I sleep naked now again. Now that the girls are older, I can sleep naked again. I don't have to, like, because no one's coming in the room or whatever.
And you like to sleep naked.
I like sleeping naked.
But I like underwear on always. Anyway.
This morning, I was sheet off, junk and package were, I guess, tucked between my legs, and my ass was facing out, and my wife took a picture of it and goes, "Just so you know, this is what everyone sees if they come in this room." And it was so disgusting. I go, how could you marry a guy? And she goes, I have no idea. That's gross.
Well, I'll tell you the greatest story ever. Wait, what were you going to say?
No, that's it. That was it. Yeah.
But one time, some shit went down with my stepdaughter, and I was away, and they got in a fight. She took off, and he didn't know where she was, and she turned off her phone, so he couldn't track the phone. And then I come home.
Your husband?
Yes,
Yeah.
I come home, and I'm like, "Where's Mackenzie?" And he's like, "I don't know." And then he goes, "But Drake's birthday party is today at MB2." And I go, "What do you mean?" I go, "I can't leave, like, to go to my biological son's party while my stepdaughter is missing." I go, "Can you even imagine the news reports?" Like, what?
Yeah.
I go, "Go then." I go, "But I gotta find her." So I start calling everyone from all the friends. And in the end, she went to a girl who was in the play, but like a different year. So I didn't know that girl. Then she was around the corner and she could walk to her house. And so I'm texting her and I'm having my people finally she calls. I pick her up. I'm so pissed at her, and the mom's like horrified. She had no clue. I'm like, "Get it." And prior to that, during the fighting going on with my husband, she texts me and she's like, "Great choice in men, Mom." That's what she says. So then during this
Great choice in men, Mom.
Yeah. So in this great, I go, you said great choice in men, Mom. And then I just did, it was like my Julia Roberts, like, stepmother moment. And I'm like, well, the reason I chose that man is because he came with a little girl, and that girl is you. And she's just bawling. She feels so bad. And I was like, but now my boys say it all the time. They always go, "Great choice in men, Mom. You married that. You married that." And I'm like, what? So I'm always like, because I can't go great choice in a father. Like, yeah, you're right. It was my choice.
It was my choice. Yeah.
It was my choice. But oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah. It's, anyway.
So wait, so get me to, and we'll wrap this up and we'll move over to your podcast. But I want to get from lyricist to Chelsea.
Oh, so after that, when I was about to go on Lyricist Lounge, before the pilot got picked up, we sent a compilation of the pilot, and SNL said, "Yes, come." I had my ticket, everything. I'm dating Peter, and he's going to come with me. We're going to stay with my aunt. We're going to go audition for SNL. I met up with my old Growlings director. I worked out all my characters, and I'm supposed to leave on a Tuesday. On Monday, my pilot for MTV, the Lyricist Lounge, got picked up. And they're like, "You can't go." My manager begged MTV to become second place. They're like, "No." So I was like, okay. So then after the show ended, we did 2 seasons, and now I'm married, and now we have shared custody of my stepdaughter. And then my manager's like, "Let's put all the stuff from Lyricist Lounge together and try to get auditions for SNL again." And I was like, no, there's no way. What would we do about Mackenzie? Like, we can't take her. We can't. It didn't even occur to me. I was like, no. And then for like a lot of years, I would sometimes have insurance, sometimes I wouldn't. I'd get a little part on Malcolm in the Middle, and I'm doing real estate with my parents. And kind of like, I stopped doing stand-up because I didn't feel comfortable inviting people to stand-up anymore if I didn't invite them to my wedding. I never was like a paid person.
Oh,
I swear to God.
That's so great.
And I didn't really miss it. Like, I was like living in Woodland Hills, and I had the kids, and I was still getting little things, and I'd written White Chicks. Oh, then I reconnected with the Wayans brothers, and I wrote one movie that we shelved, and then we wrote White Chicks together, and I was able to be in that as well. So that was a great experience, and they'd call me to like punch up other things, and so I felt like creatively fulfilled. But then Last Comic Standing started, and I'd watch that, and I'm like, I actually really miss this. I don't know why it did, even though I'd done it for several years and then stopped. I didn't really think of myself as a stand-up. I don't know. And so then I go, I should start doing this again. And so then the next, within like a week, it was really weird. This girl that would run these all-girl shows that Chelsea would do. Chelsea, Sarah, Natasha Leggero. We were all doing these shows together called Pretty Funny Women. And she goes, I just thought of you the other day. Calls me out of the blue. It was like so putting it out in the universe secret. She goes, and I can't believe you were one of the best. I can't believe you quit. And I go, I don't think I quit. She's like, well, hasn't it been like 7 years? I'm like, all right. She goes, I go, well, I'll do one of your shows. And so like literally I had like a 4-week deadline of when I'm going to get on stage again. And it had been 7 years at the Improv. But sure enough, I had all the friends, the family. I'm like, come, everyone's so excited to do something. And I called Ian and I'd run bits on him. I'd call like whoever comic friend I had and my sister. And then I just went and had 10 minutes and then built. And then within like, I got a pilot that didn't go. And then within that time, my friend goes, oh, Chelsea's going to do a show 5 nights a week on E. And I go, oh, I think, she goes, I don't want a full-time job like that. And I go, well, I think I would.
Jesus.
And so, so I go, okay, well, and she's like, here's her number. So I texted her and I go, can I please apply for the job and blah, blah, blah. And so I wrote a thing and I knew her point of view. I'm like, if I can write for a black man, I can write for a drunk blonde party girl, So like I could, and then it was, and then I got the job and they didn't really hire many people. And actually the executive producer wanted someone else. And she was like, no, I want Heather. So then from there, by the third show I was on the show, then they were like, let's find writers that will be on the show. And then it went from like almost like our own little Saturday Night Live sketch show.
Yeah.
But that's my Saturday Night Live story is that, I could have been Kristen Wiig, but I wouldn't be sitting here with you today with 3 kids and a connection,
right, Right.
No. And I feel like very satisfied in my career. I mean, of course I hope for more and I believe there'll be more, but
being able to experience the what you guys had through Chelsea, through that experience. I mean, from the outside looking in, us guys that never were going to do Chelsea or never were going to, like, we just were the wrong brand, I guess. But it was like magic. You'd go into a club and they'd be like, what the fuck is that? Annie's here. Oh, Annie's here? My sister's here.
Okay.
I was like, because we have squirrels that run on the roof sometimes.
Oh.
And so I was like, is there something in our garage? It was such a cool experience to watch comics have, to see comics. But I remember one time.
I think though a lot of people, and you have like a good Christian loving attitude, but I think a lot of comics really fucking hated us. And
really?
And I think after Chelsea, many of us, including myself, had a difficult time getting work because it was like they felt they weren't part of that, and or I'm too associated with that, and so like. Yeah, like I couldn't get on at midnight. I couldn't get on at midnight either. Because I couldn't
get on. I've never gotten on anything.
But that's why neither could I. I am not, and so uncastable. And I'm like, it's weird. It's a little bit weird how bad of a booker I am of booking stuff. And then nobody sends me out either. So what was great about starting the podcast is I was like, I really had nothing else. I was like, this is how people get heard to go to live shows. These guys, Tom Segura and everybody, I'm like, they're surviving and doing so great, and they're not household names. So I'm like, I guess I'll start doing this podcast. I don't know if anyone's going to listen. And then I couldn't believe it. Like I would have never guessed it, but in my in my young girl thing of all the stuff I thought I wanted to do in life, having a radio show was one of them. So it's like one of those things where I was like, oh my God. But speaking of bitter, jealous things, did you watch the SNL sketch, The Potties? So it was this week, and my friend sent it, and it was like making fun of like podcast awards. Like, okay.
Jesus.
And she sent it to me. She goes, this is funny. And I go, it's funny. I go, but I see the bitter writers at SNL being so fucking jealous of our success. And what they wrote was funny, okay? Yeah. But I'm like, it's that, look at these losers trying to make it on a podcast. It's and really while shitty. We're on TV, and I go, and I know it because there were people on Chelsea that were very bitter about YouTube success. And really? And I never wanted to be that person because I was like, I was like, good for you. You figured out how to edit this shit yourself, and you're in your little hometown, and you're put on, who cares that you have millions of dollars? Good for fucking you. Like, why? I remember people being mad about Dane Cook because he was the first one to utilize MySpace. I'm like, that's genius.
Yeah, I called him the day he got written up in USA Today. I don't have a lot of jealousy in my game.
Yeah.
I have what's the thing you're supposed not to, I covet things, but that's not jealousy, but like I go, oh, I would like to do that.
Yes, that's,
I don't know if covet's the right word, but but I was like, what's really odd is I'd try, we had a kid, our oldest went to school with one of the guys who worked at Chelsea, one of the head executive producers or whatever. He's like, how come you've never been on Chelsea? I was like, oh, I'd love to do Chelsea. And I'm obsessed with entertainment news. Obsessed with it. Oh, it's the only thing I do is go to entertainment news. So were you ever
pitched?
No, because they just were like, yeah, he's not right. And I was like, wait, I was like, they don't know anything about me. Do I just not look right? And they're like, yeah, you don't look right for the show.
But that's not true because we had all different types.
I know, but I think it was just a little insular. But the same thing happened with that Midnight. I was like, oh, I'll be great. I'd love to do that. I'd be great for that. And they're like, yeah, you're not right for it. And I'm like, hold on. And so for me, it was just like, okay, I guess I got to do my own thing, and I'll just do a podcast. And it's the same thing with SNL, with that bitterness that maybe those writers have.
Yeah.
Is that they go like, this isn't fair. They didn't go to Harvard. They didn't write on the Lampoon. How are they making more money than we are?
Exactly. And being able to do their own thing and being able to sell out shows. They're bitter about it. The same way some people get bitter about like a YouTuber or whatever. And it's just like, that's the greatest thing when people say, what is it like? I go, it's the best time to be a female comic ever. It really is. We have these ways to get out there. Okay, so TV doesn't want me right now. Maybe one day they will, and if they don't, who cares? I'm still touching people, and that's all that matters is when someone writes me and they're like, I lost 20 pounds because I was on the treadmill listening to you. I got through postpartum depression. I listened to you while I took my mother to dialysis. Like those kind of things. I never heard about Chelsea. I never got from my books. I only get it from this being, such a loyal audience and such a part of someone's routine. So I'm just so grateful for it, but I get it. I see how people, that sketch, I just saw exactly what that was. And I was just like, whatever, but they did a good job. It was still funny. I still laughed at it, I saw where the idea came from because I'd been in those rooms before.
It's when you buck the traditional system, people get a little frustrated.
Yes.
Because they're like, no, there were rules. You didn't see the rules.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I didn't. Sorry. But.
Yeah, so like when someone's like, yeah, you got to do it for this many years. I remember people said to me, you can't start comedy in LA. And I go, well, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? This is my hometown. Like, I'm not going to go spend money and move somewhere.
They told me to move back to Florida. I was in New York. I'd moved to New York to start stand-up. And they're like, oh, no, you don't move to... So, no, you did it wrong. You got to go back to Florida. I was like, I already have an apartment. I'm going to start here. Like, you're not going to... I'm not going to really listen to your advice, sell all my shit, move back to Florida, and then come back and go, did I do it right to you? And then people like even... I don't know. I'm in the position now where I've been brought a lot of TV and I just don't want to do it because I go, you're not going to pay me enough.
That's what's so amazing. That's what people don't get because they'll go,
I make more money on my podcast than I made on Travel Channel. And I make more money on the road than on my podcast, obviously. And And that is all, they're all tied together.
Right,
and if I can't take a month off and do Sober October with Joe, Ari, and Tom, or if I can't take a month off and try to learn how to surf with my friends, or if I can't, if I can't fucking take the day to shoot a video, then it doesn't serve my stand-up. My stand-up's the only thing that interests me in life. I don't want to be a host where I'm like, welcome back. Today, we're going to have the world's largest burrito. I don't want to do that. And television's, by the way, I could totally do that today. I could fucking murder a burrito, and so it's like, I don't know if anyone knows this, but television, the way it's been for us, for me and you, I'm not saying for the writers on SNL. I'm not taking a jab at them. SNL's doing great right now. It's probably better than it's been in a very long time.
Yes, I agree. Yes,
but television for where we would fit in isn't working anymore. Like there will never be another Chelsea. The Travel Channel has changed mediums, and now they're into extraterrestrials. And so but that's everyone's morphing, and that's the only way you're going to work in that medium anymore, is that if you're like super specific to people, like, or you're 600 pounds, or you're
I know,
or you're getting skin reduction, or you eat toilet paper. Like,
you know what I thought about? How awful if you're the audio guy for Hoarders and you have to put those mic packs on the back of someone's body.
He's got a podcast. He's got a podcast.
The audio guy from Hoarders?
No,
well, what about 600 Pound Life? What if you have to be the audio guy for 600 Pound Life?
I'm obsessed with my 600 Pound Life.
But do you imagine putting on the mic pack on someone that's in a bed? By
the way, I could pick this apart because I worked in that medium for 8 years. I am obsessed with the producer who has to get the shot but has to be human in the moment. I hate to say this, Brenda, but can we get a shot of you in the shower? Oh, I don't fit in the shower. I know. And I just think that would be really great if we could get you trying to shower. Yeah, but I don't, that's not how I shower. I know, but if we could just get one shot of you in the shower, Brenda, it would really be big for this episode. Oh, really? And then Brenda wants to be famous.
Yeah, they want to be accommodating.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I mean, and I know producers who have said to me, I got mauled by a bull one time, and my producer had to be like, okay, I need you to get back in the ring. And you're like, what? He's like, well, technically we only have 6 seconds of footage, so we can't milk that into 3 minutes. So I need you back in the ring. So I know your leg's broken and I know your ribs are broken, but the ambulance is on its way. Can we just get some shots of you in the ring real quick? And just that fucking fine dance is, to me, that's what I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with shitty television.
Yeah. I watch it too.
So your podcast is Juicy
Scoop with Heather McDonald. That's my name. And it's been going for like almost 3.5 years. And it's every Tuesday and Thursday.
And you do a new guest every Tuesday and Thursday?
Pretty much.
Do you do solo ones?
I've have on occasion. I started the podcast alone because of that reason. I was like, I don't want to depend on anybody else. If they get a booking a sitcom or something, like, let me just see if I can do it. And I like Wendy Williams, how she does Hot Topics by herself. So I was like, okay, I can do it by myself. But most times I like to, maybe I'll do like what I call a topper, like 20 minutes by myself. And then I have the interview guest. And I like having guests just because it's how I get to see other people. But and then I started doing Patreon, and I have, that's where I have the really like personal, juicier stuff.
Really?
About my life and about the business and things that I feel like these are my hardcore listeners that aren't going to like take this info and try to fuck me. So even if you're paying $5 a month, I trust you more than the other.
I can't wait to get onto this Cameo shit.
You're going to kill it. Well, but think about how much you want to charge, because you might be inundated and you might wake up and have 14 to do and it might exhaust you, or 50 to do. So talk to them and see. But with what you have, I think you might have to make it a little pricey, just because you'll have too many requests. I'm very cheap. I'm only 50.
50 what?
Dollars. 50,000 a cameo.
$50
a cameo, a video.
You can do $50 for a video?
You better. I would say
I'm going to pay off this truck.
For you should start at $99.
$99? I can get $99 for these?
I think you can.
Guys, find me on Cameo.
Oh, Oh, and you know what? I think if I tell them right now, and this will be proof, I think I get like a little referral fee. Like it's a little multi-marketing for entertainers.
That's brilliant. Yeah. I'll
Will you mark that down that we call Cameo? Make sure that I get the Bert's windfall.
Dude,
we could be selling Mary Kay or we could be doing cameos.
I would have murdered it, Mary Kay. I would have cleaned the fuck up. I tried to start a meat Mary Kay, like a meat Mary Kay, like for meats. Mary Kay for meats.
For meat food, you mean?
Yeah. So we go into a guy's house. We're like, Monday night. It's Monday Night Football. I'm catering everything. I'm grilling everything, and you can order directly from me. And so I throw a big party, and I cook up some steaks. I go, guys, these are bison. And I slice it up real nice, right? Maybe I bring a chef in, medium rare. Slice it up. Everyone's like the bison. Bison's lean. It's only this many calories. Hold on, I got elk coming out. And they're like, whoa, fucking elk. And I cut it up, lay it out, and they're like, okay. And I go, no, we have an elk bison package, but I want to bring out the bison and elk sausages that come with it. But you haven't had the bacon yet.
But wait, how are you making money off of this?
I get like Mary Kay. It's the same thing.
Oh, so you have guys under you then going around and having their own meat parties?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I go, now, hey guys, we also got some booze sponsors. I want you to try the booze. And we all load up on booze. Maybe we get this Krups Hopsy thing, right? Pop one of these. And we're like, all right, now, if you want, you can throw meat parties. Here's how we do it. And we do it like that. Or you just order from me. And trust me, I throw a fucking party. And then Butcher Box came out. And I was like, oh, that's what I wanted to do. And Butcher Box and Omaha Steaks.
Well,
and
Omaha Steaks has been around for 35 years.
Omaha Steaks been for 100.
Okay, well, because we used to order those. That used to be like our Christmas
I still order
delight.
them. I still order them. They have great bison steaks. They have really great bison steaks.
Well, I hope they become a sponsor, whatever you're talking about right now, because we just gave a big shout out to Big Meat.
Edit whichever one isn't a sponsor in this podcast.
Yes.
And just talk about the other one. Whichever. Yeah. So we should We should do your podcast now. So now we're switching over.
And he says he can just send it to you, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And so if you've enjoyed this conversation, it's going to move forward, and Heather's going to be in charge.
Yes.
And we're now doing her podcast. Hey, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you so much. This is a real treat.